So how do I solve multi-step equations? All right, so the first example, we're going to solve multi-step equations by combining like terms. So I'm going to draw my line, draw my equal sign, and notice how I'm able to combine these. Before you bring anything from side to side or start isolating that variable, you need to combine any like terms that you have. All right, so now we're ready to start isolating the variable. So I'm going to minus my 8. I'll have 6x then is equal to 12, and then I'll divide by 6, and x is then going to be equal to 2. All right, so how do I solve equations where I have to use the distributive property? All right, so here notice as well that I can simplify things on one side, and so remember you have to do that before you can bring anything from side to side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this 3, and I'm going to have 4x plus, then I'm going to have 6x, and then 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, and that's equal to 17. All right, so now I need to continue to simplify, so I'm going to take 4x plus 6x, and I'll have 10x minus 3 is equal to 17. So then I'm going to continue to isolate the variable of 10x is equal to 20, and then I'll divide by 10, and x then will be equal to 2. All right, so how do I solve equations by multiplying by the reciprocal? All right, notice if I were to, I could distribute this. I certainly could do that. That would be one way to do that. Another way would be to then multiply both sides, because if you look at what that 3/4 is doing to the variable, the 3/4 is multiplying it. So we could start this by dividing by the 3/4. So if I do that, remember dividing a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by a reciprocal. So I would multiply both sides by 4 all over 3. And I would have 5x minus 4 is equal to then, let's see here, 4 times 12 is 48, and then we'll divide that by 3, and I would end up with 16. All right. Now, and like I said, you could distribute this. You're just adding one more step in there. And so if that's easier for you, go ahead and stick with that method. So we're going to then add the 4, and I'll have 5x is equal to 20. I'll divide by 5, and then x is going to be equal to 4. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's try what we just learned. Right here I have 9d minus 2d plus 4. All right, so before we take anything from side to side, let's simplify. So 9d minus 2d, I'm going to have 7d. I've got plus 4 is equal to 32. All right, so we're going to subtract the 4. And I'll have 7d is equal to then 28. And now I'm ready to divide by 7. And d is going to be equal to 4. All right, our next example here then, I'm going to draw my line down, and this one I need to simplify first as well. I'm going to do that by distributing. So I will have 3w plus 12, and then let's not forget this 2w that we had to begin with. And I'll have 5w plus 12 is equal to 27. And now we're ready to take things from side to side. So I'm just going to minus my 12. We're isolating the variable. And I'm going to have 15. We'll divide by 5. And w is equal to 3. All right, at number 3 here, now again, you could distribute. It's just going to be way easier, especially for this one, because you're going to end up with 2 fractions in there, and it's way easier to just undo that fraction. And what I'm looking at is that 3/4 is multiplying the variable. And so I'm going to undo that by multiplying by the reciprocal, dividing, and dividing a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by a reciprocal. That's going to cancel out, and we're going to end up with z minus 6 is equal to 48 divided by 3, again, is 16. I'm going to then add my 6, and it looks like Z is equal to 22. All right, a ticket agency sells tickets to a concert, and they charge $45 for each ticket, and $8.25 tax for each ticket, a service fee of $11.70 for the entire order. The total charge for the order is $331.20. How many tickets were purchased? All right, so each ticket that we're going to buy, let's make the tickets, let's just make that X. Let's make that easier. So our tickets are going to be X. So we're going to have 45X. And then we have the tax for each ticket as well, and that's going to be $8.25 for every ticket. And then we have the $11.70 service charge for the entire order. So you're only going to pay that one once. So that's our constant here. And then we're going to have a total of $331.20. So before we can then isolate the variable, let's go ahead and we're going to then simplify right here. And I'll take my 45 plus my $8.25, and I'm going to have $53.25 plus $11.70. All right, so now we're going to minus the $11.70, and I'm going to have $53.25, and so 331.2 minus 1170, and we're going to have $319.50. All right, so now we'll divide. And we're going to have then X is equal to 6. So that means that we would have purchased 6 tickets. All right, so our last example, we have a perimeter is equal to 24, and we've got this rectangle. One side is X plus 3 meters, and the other, and don't get confused by this. In fact, I'm just going to kind of take that off because it means it's the meters. So the side lengths are the X plus 3 and the 2X. All right, so the perimeter, we're talking about perimeter, and so we know that this would be 2X and this would be an X plus 3 because they've got equal sides. So that means that I've got the 2X plus the 2X plus my other side, where we'll have X plus 3 and then another X plus 3, and now my perimeter is 24. All right, so let's go ahead and add up all our X's. So we have 2, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6X plus we've got our 6 is equal to 24. All right, let's minus our 6. And we'll have 18, and then we divide by 6, and X is going to be equal to 3. All right, and that's all it's asking us for. So in this lesson, we took a look at how to solve multi-step equations.